Why, hello. Howdy doody. I need to come up with a decent hello because these are getting weird. Anyway, I have a story for you people. A story I think you'll appreciate. Let me take you back to 2010. Yeah. I have just left high school. I'm scared about my future. No, not really. I'm going to college. But in England, you finish your you finish school in May, and you have revision time, and then you have your exams. You have your prom, or what we call valedictory, and then you're off for summer, and then you start college in September. So, pretty much straight out of high school, I got a job. As head girl, I was in charge of the valedictory, so I was looking at places we could hold it, the prom, and we went to this hotel. They said that we could hold it there, and while I was there, I asked for a job. And I ended up being, well, I started on the catering staff, but the plates were too hot, I couldn't carry them, and it was stressful. And my first job at the age of 16 was, I was like a lady sex party thing. I really never want to relive that night. It was traumatizing. They'd like rented a hall in the hotel, and there was just massive inflatable dicks, and I was there trying to serve, really like, who would you like peas with that? And they're there like with dick straws, and it was just an odd day. But anyway, I asked to be transferred. I became a cleaner, and it was the most degrading job of my life. At the time, I was on £3.64 an hour, which worked out at 91p per room I cleaned, and at the end of the day I did no less of a job than anybody else there. And that's why I think that the way that we're paid, depending on age, is bullshit. Because as well, everybody else got to go home when the rooms were clean, but then me and my two friends who I got a job there, one of them being Scott, my ex-boyfriend. Lauren, come on. Anyway, the three of us would end up staying for another 2 hours, which only worked out at what, 9, 8, 10, 8, 30 quid. They spent 30 quid on 3 people, spending an extra 3 hours there, and we had to clean up all the dirty laundry, everything in the bin. It was hell. Anyway, it was literally slave labour, but let's not go on about it. We're okay. I survived. Now, the stories that happened while we were there are nothing short of traumatic. And in fact, the other day, Scott tweeted me, and we had a bit of a DMC, deep meaningful conversation, about what we went through when we were working there, because it was weird and freaky and odd. So one day, basically, for some reason, Scott could not do the same job we did because he was a boy. This is 2010, people. So what Scott's job was to do was to go ahead of us cleaning rooms, and he had to just strip the beds, put fresh bed in, like not even make the bed, just on the bed, and move on, and then he would take all the washing with him, and that was his whole job. That's what he did. And then he would do the same with the rubbish at the end of the day, but we all ended up doing it so he could go home earlier. Whereas me and my other friend, who were both girls, had to hoover, dust, clean the room, make the beds, blah blah blah. Proper what you would do as a hotel cleaner. Because we were 16, we could not clean the bathrooms, and we had to have an adult who was trained to clean the bathrooms to do that. That's the premise of my story. So every now and then I would get a little text from Scott saying, hey, I'm in room 28, or hey, I'm in one of the lodges outside, will you come and have a look? And things would be weird in there. So one day he texted me, and I remember the text very clearly, saying, I'm in lodge 29, please help. So I said to the girl who I was on with, and my friend, because we were always put together, please will you bear with me a sec, I just need to go and check on Scott. Goes running out, and he said, I don't know what to do with this. And it was a single bed, but with like blood. A lot of blood. Now I knew what that meant, and I'd known what that meant since I was about 8, 9. Scott did not know what that meant. He was like, I don't understand why someone sat up and had a nosebleed and there's no nosebleed on the pillows, and it sunk into the mattress, and what do you even do about that? And I just sat him down on the other single bed, those two single beds, and I went, now Scott, when a man and a woman love each other, he went, Lauren, it's not drism. I'm sorry I said that on my chest. And I went, no, but what does a woman do every month? And you could see it in his eyes. He was like, it was like in Daddy Daycare when the bloke, Eddie Murphy, goes in after the kid and he's like, I missed. And then he's like looking everywhere like, he was like that. And he was like, nope, fuck this shit, I'm out. So for the rest of the day, he just followed us as we cleaned, helping out with like all the stuff he shouldn't have been allowed to because he's a boy and he's incapable of cleaning for some reason. And we'd just watch Jeremy Kyle all day in the rooms. It must have got back to him that all he did was watch Jeremy Kyle all day. But yeah, so that's one story. Another story was my first day before I'd even managed to get them working there. Our last room of the day was the bridal suite. There was a wedding going on at the hotel and we were told that their room was occupied because it kind of showed up if there was someone in the room. And we thought, rather than knock and say housekeeping and interrupt them when they're in the middle of the wedding anyway, they've clearly come away to have a minute together, let's leave them to it. So there's a few of us kind of stood milling outside. It's our last room. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been there since 8. We're all bored. And this groom comes out and he's all dishevelled and we're kind of nudging each other like like he had no idea, but he came out all dishevelled, and one of the older ladies went, is there anyone else in your room, sir? And he went, no, you can go in. We went in. My first day, the whole place was pristine and we were like, we're just here to change the bed. I don't know why it hadn't already been done. Anyway, went in and I went to the, we were all going to do it, so I went to the top left, there's people in the top, the other corners, and it was just to grab it, fold it in and just get it all done really quick. Put my hand in, for some reason on this 4-poster bed that was beautiful, curtains, all lovely, it spunked. There was jism just in the top left corner, and I put my hand in it and smeared it. And I was like, I was 16. This hadn't happened. This wasn't something that had happened to me yet. It was going to happen about 6 months later. I didn't need that, especially from some married man. And I went, what do I do? Where do I go? Because I'm thinking the whole place is clean. I can't wash jism off my hand. And she went, you better go wash it because otherwise you're going to get AIDS. And I'm like, so much fear. There was so much fear. I remember kind of walking home like, and I hand sanitised it when I got in the car. And that story is what got my friends a job there. They wanted to come. Oh my god, not like that. Dirty people. What else to tell you? There's a lot of stories from there. There was a lady who worked there with mental health problems, which is fine, but she was really nasty. And it was, of course, because of the mental health problems, but Scott always got put with her and she would never let him go on a break because her breaks were different because she lived in a residential home, so the travelling and stuff, it was just different times that her breaks were. So we had to come and get him every time. She's like, he's not going, he needs to stay. And he's like, no, I really have to go. And for months this happened. I was working there for nearly a year and he was like, no, I'm going. And when it was our lunch we didn't get paid for, obviously, the hour, but we got it catered because it was a hotel, and we would get the tea from like the dinner time, like the evening meal from the night before, and breakfast that we could pick from. And it was a bit cold and grim, but it's okay, I'm still alive. and we would have this really dodgy place we could go and eat, and we would eat in one corner of it, and she would come down and eat in the other corner because she was the only other person who didn't smoke, because everyone else would eat in the smoking shelter. And she would just sit. So she'd sit there and she'd be buffalo staring, and if you don't know what buffalo staring is, it's a little bit like this. It's like when a cow or any large beast stands next to you and then just looks at you and down. It's kind of like, I'm watching you, no kick you necessarily. And she was staring at us like that the whole time, and we would just be talking about Jeremy Kyle or how much we hated ourselves for working there, and she would burp, and it wasn't like a it was a burp that I can't even do one to show you. And at first I was just like, damn girl, whoa, because they were always so loud and it reverberated because we were underground for some reason. And then it got to a point where it was funny and we would laugh, but it wasn't like we were laughing at her, we were laughing at a dirty burp. And then it got to a point where my Scott would just be like, oh, that's disgusting. Instead of looking at the one, I can't laugh like that. He's just like, oh no, that is disgusting. How dare you know? Oh. She'd always like just carry on regardless, and we were just like, no. I remember one day my friend, who never really said anything about it, pushed the food away and went, I am sick of it, I cannot enjoy my food. She was so upset that this woman would not stop burping. It was foul. Oh, it was really bad. But yeah, just, it was a horrific time in our lives. It was so bad. Oh my god. Oh, it wasn't even Cameron's Britain, so I can't even blame him. It was traumatic though. Like, if you have a child who goes to work and earns like £3.60 an hour, please talk them out of it. Nothing's worth that. Nothing is worth that. One day we were there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 7 PM at night because we had some people arrive late and they asked for Z beds, which were beds that were folded into a Z and you had to lie them flat, and they wanted a cot. And I'm not joking, and I apologise if you ever find out whether this was you. I don't know if it was you because you went out for tea, but me and Scott got in your single bed and we cried. It's not even funny. We both had made this bed pristine, like proper. It had to be like pulled so tight and just beautiful. And we'd undone it and we got in it and we were crying. Like, I just want to go home, I don't want to do this anymore. And then we had a fight over who had to make the bed. And then when we decided that neither of us were going to make the bed and we were just going to storm out, quit our jobs, leave it a mess, which we felt bad on because it wasn't the people's fault, it was the cot's fault, it wouldn't go flat. It was one of them travel cots where it all comes together and you got to pull it all apart and pull the middle. Oh god, I don't want to think about it. We just had enough. And we didn't quit then because luckily we were going to college and it only went to weekends then because we were doing it 6 days a week. 6 days a week, but yeah. Please don't ever let children do that. It was nasty and horrid and I hated it. But thank you everybody for watching and I hope you're not too traumatised. Oh, we found weird rooms, like rooms where the bin was full of used tissues and there was porn mags everywhere, or rooms that hen parties had stayed in and there was just feathers everywhere and they'd been trod into the carpet, so we were on our hands and knees picking out feathers. There was ones where people had pissed the bed and all the hotel did to fix the piss problem was put the mattress up against the radiator, put a circle around it on your sheet and you had to come back and do it at the end when the piss had dried. I mean, god, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've told you now. It can be our little secret, but god, it was so disgusting. Anyway, like I said, thank you for listening. If you've got anything that you can think of, if you know me and there's a story where you think Laurie needs to tell this story, then please let me know. I will happily tell another story or two. But until then, I will see you very soon. Ta-ra!